Hi, thank you for tuning in for another tale from the Blue Wizard. Seems I'm obligated to tell you this YouTube novel is for entertainment purposes only. You shouldn't be making life decisions based on what you heard a YouTuber say. Take what resonates and leave the rest, as they say. Today's episode is Chapter 2, a delegation of 4 or 5. Our friend the Blue Wizard tells me that trying to remember and describe what it was like before coming here is very much like asking someone what it was like being an infant, like asking someone to tell you all about the toys and blankets they had in their crib. When I asked him to share what memories he does have, they are small bits and pieces, most of them involving his friendship with someone we will call Manny. My informant said he was in the water division and his pal Manny in the resource acquisition division of the company All Reality Unlimited. They had met while the incorporation of All Reality was still in the planning and development stages, and both of them had decided to stay on in the executive administration of their respective divisions. Before the incorporation, everyone involved in All Reality first entered the picture as members of the Absolute Band. Yes, music band, or bands actually would be more accurate. Some of them were solo acts. There are a whole lot of one instrument and two voice duos, power trios, traditional 4-piece groups, ensembles, orchestras, you name it. But whatever type of music they gravitated toward, or what kind of combination they initially put together, almost all of these musicians began to discover over time that the more the merrier. This all culminated one day with the Absolute calling everyone in for the ultimate jazz improv symphony. The first movement kicked off with a riff by the Absolute, and pretty soon it was building towards a harmonious crescendo as everyone contributed with their individual creativity. But then one of the two who had distinguished themselves as the most influential group leaders took things in a crazy, discordant direction, pulling some of the orchestra with him and splitting the music into two clashing, competing themes. The Absolute raised his left hand with a smile, and the music stopped abruptly, and then kicked off the second movement with a similar groove to the first movement. But the discordant one again initiated a tonal struggle and pulled a significant faction into his competing theme. The other guy, who had proved to be a top band leader, rallied orchestra members around him to reinforce the Absolute's sweet harmony, but the discordant one and those joining in this dissonant counter theme overwhelmed them until the Absolute stood, a
grim expression on his face.
The second movement having become a dark and ominous chaos. The Absolute raised his right hand, and the third movement began. This theme, unlike the first two, its mournful melody, an imposing counterpart to the violence the second movement had become, and masterly wove the most dominant notes from the discordance again and again in with his melody, resolving into a final magnificent chord. The Absolute said something like, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." At which point, everyone realized the song had been about this grand company that would utilize all their abilities to make, well, everything. And so, All Reality Unlimited was incorporated according to the symphonic plan. And as with the music, the discordant one immediately left the company and set up an opposing operation, taking a significant number of the junior executives and directors with him. Damage Incorporated is an appropriate name for that operation, but that is another story. Corporate headquarters for All Reality Unlimited was a virtual heaven on earth. And having survived the war with the discordant shadow jerks, Manny and our story source were doing pretty well. Our friend said he recalls that he was enjoying his work with wave generation and shaping, and enjoyed frequent visits from Manny, whose acquisition duties involved the water division. The one event that sticks out as the clearest memory is the day Manny came to him very excited and told him about a big meeting of the higher-ups. Manny explained to him that one of the junior executives from the fabrication division that had gone rogue to work for the opposition had resurfaced and was setting up shop for a hostile takeover of some of All Reality's main holdings. While this junior exec wasn't causing the same level of chaos the discordant one had achieved, he was causing enough havoc and had gathered enough momentum to cause real concern among the board of directors. The decision, according to Manny, was to send a small delegation of junior execs into the field to balance out the mayhem by opposing the opposition. Since the rogue junior executive's expertise was in fabrication, the board decided this delegation would be led by someone from that division. Codename Mr. White. The chairman insisted that someone from his operations be included, specifically a junior executive who had been on temporary assignment in the accounting division writing off bad checks. This junior exec tried to beg off, but the chairman planted his foot. Codename Mr. Gray. The VP of the produce division then insisted on sending one of her junior execs along to balance out fabrication's representative. Codename Mr. Brown. Manny said he was eavesdropping but couldn't help himself and blurted out right in front of the board that he was willing to go along and represent resource acquisitions, which should definitely be included if they're going to be sending a delegation out in the field. How Manny convinced the board to also bring along a junior executive from Waterworks is kind of foggy, according to our friend, but the story of how Manny convinced him to come along is kind of amusing, to me at least. Anyway, Manny tells him this story and then looks at our friend and says, "So you'll come with me, right?" The answer was immediate. Absolutely not. Thank you for visiting for another tale from the Blue Wizard. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this content.